This is Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Hey, welcome back to Midweek Politics. We are just minutes away from giving away the iPad. Of course, members of Midweek Politics getting 10 entries each, and anybody on our newsletter getting 1 entry. And we're really coming down to the last minute here. And Lewis is, he's not that good with Excel, but Lewis, are you close to, we've got all the members and everything is in there, right?
Just about ready.
Okay, so next step, Lewis, while we talk here to Donna Edwards, Lewis will generate a random number to go along with each one, and then we will sort the spreadsheet. It'll generate numbers between 0 and 1. Whoever has the highest number is going to be the iPad winner, and we'll announce it within a few minutes. The other day over the weekend, I had the chance to speak with Congresswoman Donna Edwards from Maryland. She was in town for a bunch of different events. The National Priorities Project, which is based here in our area, had their yearly event, and the show was a sponsor, so she was speaking there. She also did an event with Progressive Democrats of America, and we went over to, at the Progressive Democrats of America event, we actually interviewed her. And we talked about a lot of different topics, and here's just one of those topics. And before I get to it, people were coming up to me, and some knew who I was, some were asking me who I was, and I'm not going to give any names, but what am I trying to say here? A lot of people were encouraging me or asking me to cover certain things on the show, very specific things that if we were to cover, the audience would immediately tune out. The maxed out live stream that is going right now, mostly people just waiting for me to tell them who won the iPad, but some are actually even remotely interested in the show. Stuff people don't want to hear, and I know you get this too, Lewis, where people say, you know what you guys should talk about?
Oh, yeah. And people just saying I should interview them on the show.
Oh, well,
they want to be on the show.
Of course. Yeah. I didn't get any of that, but I did get a lot of people saying you should talk about this. And I just say, I'll talk to you about it and that you can decide, even though, let's be honest, I'm deciding, but I act like it's Lewis's decision. And a lot of them are realizing that, and they say, well, it is your show. It's really a good topic. And sometimes it's something so mundane. If we were to just start talking, for example, about an aquifer that is in legal limbo 10 miles from where we do the show. Can you imagine? I would be embarrassed to put that out as a podcast or send it to Free Speech TV.
Right.
We need to have some kind of sense here of what the audience wants to hear. Not that we get it right all the time, but I have a hard time explaining to people. I try to say something like, well, we need to think about where all of our audience is and make sure we're covering stories that apply no matter where you live type of thing. Is that how I should be handling it? Should I just be turning around and walking away from people? What should I be doing?
Well, yeah, they need to know that our audience is nationwide.
Is spread out.
Right.
Not only nationwide, of course, in Sweden and Ghana, Canada and Mexico.
Of course, yeah.
Would somebody in Mexico City care about the aquifer 10 miles away and whether 2 local lawyers are fighting it out over it?
I don't think so.
Maybe they would. Maybe I'm completely off on this.
Maybe there's an aquifer near that Mexican town.
And they would relate. Maybe they need an aquifer there.
Could be.
Donna Edwards was very nice. There was some background noise. I'll play this for you. Here's just one clip. The entire interview is on our YouTube channel with video, so check it out there. When you think about the Tea Party, I don't know about you, but the Tea Party is getting into my dreams, and I'm having nightmares of Christine O'Donnell in the Senate talking about masturbation or talking about witchcraft, and I wake up in a cold sweat. When you think about the Tea Party, do you think that it's becoming the new normal for conservatives in the United States? Are these 3, Sharon Angle, Christine O'Donnell, and Rand Paul, exceptions to the rule that because of specific sentiment now have won primaries? What do you think?
Well, if I weren't so, concerned, and I am and consumed with making sure that we retain a Democratic majority in the Congress, I'd be worried about Republicans because they ought to worry about themselves. The Republican Party has truly been taken over by the most right wing of who they are. And I don't think that they represent even the moderates or the conservatives in that party anymore. And so I got to say, I think Republicans ought to be shaking in their boots right now because they have been taken over by people who really are far afield from the kind of moderate and conservative Republicans that we've known.
So you think that in terms of voters, the majority of voters are not really behind these 3 candidates that have made a lot of news, in part because of the things that they've been saying, you don't think that it's a reflection of the way that the voters in the Republican Party are actually going?
I really don't, and I think what we're going to see as this election comes into its final days and people kind of do the reality check about what those guys want versus where we're taking the country in the direction that we're going in, they're going to conclude that the Tea Partiers who have won in some of their primary races really don't represent their interests, and we're going to find that they're going to be supporting Democratic candidates in some of these congressional districts in some of our states. And
so fascinating to talk to Donna Edwards. Incredibly nice to speak to us, and the entire interview is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/midweekpolitics. Midweek Politics is made possible in part by the Daily Hampshire Gazette and GazetteNet.com, connecting our communities with local news and information. By DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.